The Devil in a White City, a summary. It starts off with Chicago being the second most populated city in the United States, and Chicagoans were pretty prideful for themselves. And it just so happened that Paris had its own World Fair at that time. And the US, being the country that it was, wanted to remain on top and show that it was strong. And with Paris showing off all its architecture and wealth, this would lead to the US deciding to host its own World Fair. In Chicago. Surprising. This would be held at Jackson Park. At the same time, a man by H. Holmes would arrive in Chicago, go to a pharmacy on Elmwood Street, and talk to its owner with warm and comfort. She would then, for some reason, move to California randomly without telling anyone. After taking over the pharmacy, Holmes would go to Illinois. He would meet up with a woman named Marat. They would soon get married, have a kid, and Holmes will adore them with gifts. For some reason, Holmes also loved to buy lots of chloroform and buy things on credit. Back at the fair, time was coming short. A man named Daniel Burnham was placed in charge of construction and would go to New York to get Hunt, Post, Peabody, and McKim, four of the greatest architects in the U.S. They would all be indecisive at first, but then join. Holmes was now reconstructing his building into a 3-story hotel. A young couple, Ned and Julia, would soon come to work for him. Their marriage would not last long from intervention from Holmes. Julia's sister Gertrude would also leave Chicago and soon die from an illness. All the while, Holmes would marvel at the heat from his human-sized kiln. I wonder what that's for, though. I was born with the devil in me, he wrote. I cannot help the fact that I was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing. The first meeting was held at the Rookery, and architects and firms would learn what they would be designing. Later that Tuesday, a bank would fail. John Root would die, Burnham's partner. Later that month in February, the architects would meet up again and show their designs, each being more magnificent than the previous. I never expected to see such a moment, he said. Look here, old fellow, do you realize this has been the greatest meeting of artists since the 15th century? Time was of the essence, and small conflicts like turning in blueprints late were hindering. There is still no competitor to the Eiffel Tower. With Holmes, he had gotten Julia pregnant, and she said that now he had to marry her. But Holmes said no, there cannot be a child. So he would do a simple abortion. Instead, he would kill her using chloroform. Back at Jackson Fair, construction was coming along, but Byrne had to be worried for riots from the workers. And a man named Sol Bloom will be in charge of Midway Palace across from Jackson Park. A young engineer by the name of George Ferris would try to get his building in Jackson Park but would be denied. Daniel Burnham would be rushing construction, and painting buildings would be a problem, until a man named Francis Millet would use white lead and oil and press it out of a hose to create the first spray can. George Ferris would send his design one more time, being denied for being too dangerous and fragile. He would send it a third time and get it approved and be placed in Midway Palace. It was 2 large wheels on an axle, hence the Ferris wheel. With the winter being bitterly cold and construction coming along slowly, few of the buildings were completed, and many still needed to be built. Time was running out. Holmes met another woman, Minnie Williams. They got married, but her sister Anna was skeptical about their marriage, so Holmes invited her to Chicago. On May 1st, the World Fair opened, and over 500,000 people attended, but the optimism wouldn't last long. On Tuesday, May 2nd, only 10,000 people came to Jackson Park, an attendance rate that, if continued, would guarantee the fair a place in history as one of the greatest failures of all time. As time continued, more banks failed, but the fair continued to gain popularity. Holmes would mainly accept young women new to living alone to his World Fair hotel. Then he would lure them in and kill them. The fair had a slow start of 37,501 people per day, but would go to 97,170 by the end of June. The World Fair was the light of Chicago's dark. New inventions were being seen every day: the zipper, the all-electric kitchen, and the long-distance telephone. All the while, the stock market went down. Call it no more the White City on the lake, wrote Sir Walter Besant. It is dreamland. Holmes would take both Minnie and Anna to the fair and Midway Palace, and would end up killing both of them in his vault. And the fair would continue to grow popularity, clocking in at 100,000 people per day as it came to an end. Mary Hartwell Catherwood wrote, "What shall we do when this wonderland is closed? When it disappears, when the entertainment has come to an end?" Creditors would soon start appearing at Holmes' doorstep, forcing him to flee to Texas, which he would soon after be caught and imprisoned. Holmes would also lead Detective Frank Gear on a wild goose chase going from Philadelphia, Vermont, and Boston to find Ben Pizzle's 3 children, Elise, Nellie, and Howard. Detective Gear would find them. He was stumped for several months. He would find them, but they would be dead.